Hey, everybody. Hope you are enjoying this wonderful, wonderful event, Swish 21. I'm here with three esteemed coaches and administrators to talk about the Hudl Focus advice, all the amazing things that these things do. I'm going to let these guys kick out themselves. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. Let's start with Rick. Hudl, Rick.
Hudl, how we doing today?
I'm fantastic. How about you?
Beautiful.
Let's have you guys introduce yourselves. Let's start with Rick.
My name is Rick Perez. I'm the head boys basketball coach at Reading High School. Going into my 12th year this year as the head coach, 20th overall as a coach at Reading High School. It's a beautiful place to be. 2-time state champions. We won our first after our esteemed 127-year history in 2017, and then just won our second last year. So things have been going well. I mean, way beyond the trophies. That's not why we do things, but just love doing this, love the relationships, and I love Hudl. So thank you for having me.
We love you. Andy, why don't you go next?
Sure. Andy Peterson, the athletic director, head women's golf coach at Northwest Missouri State University. I've been in a myriad of roles since I've been here. I started out as a student athlete in 2003 and played 5 years for Coach Steve Tapmeyer, and then GA'd for him, and then Coach Ben McCullum, who most of you know or have heard of recently. He's our head men's basketball coach now. I coached for him as an assistant coach for about 8 years for him, and in that time transitioned more into administrative role. And so now I'm the athletic director. Been in this seat for about 3 years, and just trying to push our teams forward. And a lot of that in a lot of sports has to do with film and how are they breaking it down? How are they getting better? How are they working on their craft? And so Hudl's been a great partner for us across the board, and just excited to share some of that with you guys today.
And Dennis.
Dennis Sensitz, Allentown Central Catholic High School. I'm the athletic director and the boys basketball coach. I've coached on the college level for 25 years, and now the last 8 here at Allentown Central Catholic. Really blessed to be part of a great community here in Allentown, and one that understands the value of athletics, the student athlete model, and really appreciate Hudl asking me to join tonight. Hudl's been fantastic to us here as we've continued to grow our program, and given us what I think is a vehicle to garner a lot of success.
We love to hear that. I'm going to start off with our first topic of the night. Let's get right into it, gentlemen. It's hard to remember that this stuff has come a long way in almost a really short amount of time. I want to ask what role film has had in your guys' career to this point, and what kind of, I like to call them eureka moments, but I'm sure you all have some stories about that just cemented your faith in this kind of technology. We'll start with Rick.
Brendan, that's where I do the majority of my coaching is in film. Those I think we have, as you would call them, eureka moments. Every time we're watching film, that is our time to really teach, slow things down. At times for us as coaches, it can become overwhelming because you want to break everything down. But, it just gives us an opportunity to show our players where they're doing great at, where they need improvement at. And, so we'll spend more time in film sometimes than we will actually on the practice floor, and it's important for us that when we get on the practice floor, those things are about flow and practicing the habit that we just, we're taught in film. But, I love film. I spend my hours on, you could check my Hudl hours, I probably lead the league in Hudl hours. So
I may look this up while we're recording just to verify that.
Yeah.
Andy, you've got a unique background with it. I'm curious what your baptism in this was like.
Yeah, to be honest with you, in college, I'm just going to talk about college basketball.
Yeah,
it was especially as a student assistant, as a GA, and as a part-time assistant. My first year as a GA was we'd film a game on a VCR. You'd get that tape in, and as a GA, we'd get in a van, we'd get in a car that night, and we were driving 2-3 hours to meet a GA from some other institution and swapping VCRs in a quick trip parking lot or something like that. VHS tapes, and then we'd turn right back around. You drive right back to campus. You go up to our office, and we'd have 3 or 4 VCR players all hooked together, and you're pressing play, rewind, stop, record, play. I mean, it was just, you're cutting and pasting into another, into your master copy is what we always call them. And you're doing that 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, because the next day, like Coach Rick's talking about, the head coach wants to watch them film, and they need stuff cut up. They want to see their clips. They want to know what's going on. And so, it's come a long way, and I'm not that old, I don't think I'm that old anyway, to know that just in a decade, we went from that to you push a couple of buttons, shoot an email off, and it comes back and that film's broke down. It would take 3 or 4 hours just to get the defensive clips pulled out, not to mention the defensive clips where you did something right or wrong, or, coach wants to see all the times you doubled the low post or whatever and just clip those out. I mean, that would take hours upon hours, and it comes back, cut up, ready to go with a couple clicks of the button. So it's, being an assistant coach and just living in that realm of film and cutting film and getting ready for those film sessions, it is night and day compared to what it was just 10 years ago.
You bring back warm, fuzzy memories for me of like meeting people in a diner parking lot, 11 o'clock at night, right?
Oh,
And then you don't know what the quality is a lot of time, right? It could be really good. It could be the Blair Witch Project, right? I mean,
or some guy grabbed the wrong VCR and you've got a tape from 3 weeks prior, a women's game or something. Yeah. Oh, there's all kinds of crazy stories.
The wild West. How about you, Dennis?
As Andy speaks, I'm having flashbacks here, and as Andy said, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, I've been here at Allentown Central Catholic for 10 years, and the way we've evolved in the last 10 years, it's really pretty phenomenal. And with Hudl, the focus, my first probably 6 or 7 years was just really on game evaluation. And then as soon as we were able to get the Hudl Focus camera into the gym, it was a game changer as far as evaluating practice, and you could go and videotape practice and be able to fast forward to segments of practice immediately. And, from a coaching standpoint or a teaching standpoint, have, great footage to validate points that you were making with your team. And I really think, especially, last year with the pandemic, when we were all forced to be a lot more efficient with our time and with our players' time, it became an invaluable teaching tool and probably accelerated our coaching staff's growth in terms of ways to utilize that footage. But again, I think it's evolved in the last couple of years from a great game tool to a great practice tool as well.
That's a great segue to what I wanted to talk about next here, Dennis. You mentioned about this being a game changer. I mean, we'll keep this with you, but I want to know, when you first hooked up that Focus to your gym wall, and you saw the footage, you saw all the different, what was your first reaction? I
mean, it's a wow. I mean, it'll wow you, as a coach. And then, first of all, the quality is really high, so, I mean, we're fortunate that we've got 2 local cable companies in our area that televise our high school games. But, the live stream that we're able to produce from the Hudl Focus feed, rivals what the local cable companies are doing. It's that good a quality, and then, when you realize that, hey, all you have to do is, either program your schedule into Hudl or walk out on the practice floor and pull your phone out and basically hit play to start recording practice. It's so user friendly. I mean, there's so many great benefits to it.
Yeah. What about you guys, Andy and Rick?
For me, I've always been a Hudl advocate, since day one. So, I was with Hudl when it was built like football, and you had to put yes or no. And, So watching it evolve and finally get to this point was very exciting. You know, because it was a little difficult, you know, when you wanted to take the film out of the people's hands, you know, you weren't getting quality film. And here, you know, I knew we were going to get a quality product. And being able to access everything, you know, I started watching guys, you know, if I got to the school at 3:30 and they were to walk on the floor at 4:30, but practice didn't start till 5:15, I turned on the Hudl Focus right away. You know, I wanted to see what guys' habits were, you know, how they entered the gym, what their mentality was. So, you know, just to have access to all of this was exciting, you know. You know, it just kept us more attached, you know, and was able to put things on, you know, on camera for us to really highlight where we can get better, you know, and what we need to do. So, I mean, and I knew at that point, I really didn't know we could connect to the community the way that we did. But that took it to a whole nother level, you know, because, you know, Reading High basketball, I mean, that's tradition. You know, Reading is on the Monopoly board, you know, so, you know, we're followed by many people. So when I seen the number of people that we were connecting to on a regular basis, and you really have to consider at least 5 people, you know, behind, you know, on that one view, you know, there's 5 people at least, you know, who are in that home watching that game. So, you know, how many people are really able to tune in and connect with us, you know, during these games.
So is Reading next to Park Place on the board or what?
And we didn't make it that far. We're not that far. We're on the orange side, you know, orange and red. So we are by free parking.
You have to go and collect $200.
You know, for me, those guys, coaches hit it there. It's the reliability, but also the flexibility. Like Coach said, Coach Cynthia, you walk out on the floor, you know, Coach McCollum's our head men's basketball coach, and stuff changes. You out to practice, you may have a practice plan, and after the first 10 minutes of your practice plan, something changes, and you need to shift. And so, you know, instead of having a student manager, you know, run outside, run up in the press box, get your camera on, clicking on, I mean, and you're wasting 4, 5, 6 minutes. Doesn't sound like a lot of time, but over the course of a practice, over the course of a year, that's a lot of time that kids can use to shoot, you know, to get better, or breaking down stuff, whatever here and there. You don't have to stop. You don't have these weird pauses, these weird breaks. You know, they try to practice like it's a game. So you transition from one drill to the next, or from one scrimmage to the next. You're not worried about changing out tape or you know, messing with VCRs and VHS tapes. There's a flexibility there that's top notch, you know. And for me, it's from my seat as an athletic director, when we're putting stuff out, like what Coach Perez is talking about, when you're putting it out publicly, and you don't have to worry about your cameraman panning back and forth and all of a sudden stopping because he sees his mom in the crowd and he's waving his mom. Well, meanwhile, the game's going the other way. You know, it follows, and the high quality Coach Sense is talking about. You know, you can have a 4D, 4K camera or whatever with the highest quality, but you still got some human error behind it, you know, with them not paying attention to what's going on in the game or missing something. And all that's taken away with your Hudl Focus. So that's been great. You know, I think to go one step further, I think what these guys are talking about, not only for them, but for our athletes at the college level, all of our athletes, you know, have a login where they can watch practice. They can watch their own practice. So if they get to the arena early, like Coach Perez talked about, and they're not shooting, but they're getting changed or something, they can hop on their phone for 10 minutes before practice and check out whatever drills they did the day before and how they can get better and all that stuff. That's not just basketball, not just Hudl Focus, but Hudl writ large with all your sports. That's something that we've taken huge advantages of with our student athlete development.
Andy, to your point, the athletes, the kids, they know that the camera's on, and they like when it's on. You know, they know it's important that way. And I think you really help develop your own culture when you're videotaping, whether, you know, and there's some days as a coach, we use it more than others, but the athletes always know that it's on.
You know, we had a situation, you know, unfortunately, where a young man, one of our starters, had to he had to sit out with because of an exposure, and he tuned into practice every day, zoomed in, and was able to discuss what was going on in practice, discuss the game plans, as we moved into the playoffs at that point. So although physically, he wasn't in tune and able to do the things that we did, he was still attached to the team, knew the game plan to a T when he showed up, and it just keeps everyone, attached, and I think that's vital.
You guys have all brought up some salient points here regarding just the ease of kind of viewing this on the app, of tuning in kind of really in the moment. I want to ask you, you've all hit just the athlete side of this and development. Do you feel like this unlocks any sort of intrinsic motivation? Because there's some barriers removed there when you think about it, just the ease of being able to pull up and watch the film. What do you think this unlocks in your athletes?
Well, I don't think we had, right now, if you Googled us, you can't see much YouTube of us getting crossed over or play, they, they just really get to, they're better, they're smarter, they're more athletic, they have access to more resources than we've ever had, I wish I was able to pull up some film of me playing, and there's not much, it's hard to find, but every game they've ever played is, it's on film, but it just really, our players will even lock into the statistics, going in and watching the playlist, off of the statistics, my assists or my turnovers and rebounding. So they're approaching the game much differently, than we are, than we ever had that opportunity to.
Andy, Dennis, you guys have thoughts about this?
I mean, yeah, coach is spot on. I mean, if you want to see any of my games, you're going to have to print off some stat sheet from 2003 that may tell you, you can make it up now, whatever stat, or pull a newspaper article out of some, some random newspaper somewhere in the Midwest where, like coach is saying, all these guys got their whole careers and it's on a thumb drive. It's this big. If they really wanted to, they can pull them off there and download them. Where, my college career, I think I've got all the VHSs. They're in my basement, and they're in a box, that's probably 10 times the size of this computer here I'm looking at. So, yeah, there's a whole nother access. There's a whole nother level of pride and accountability. Like we were teasing coach just a second ago about how many hours he's got. That's a competition amongst the kids. Who's watching more film? It's not they might just turn it on and not be paying attention, but there's a point of pride there of, hey, I'm watching, I'm in, I'm logging in. I want to watch practice. I want to watch my teammates. What are they doing? And it pushes them to be better, pushes them to be part of something bigger than themselves. And like Coach Perez is saying, you're connected. You want to be connected.
Well, and I think that the key to it, from my viewpoint, is, back to Andy's point earlier, we've come so far in the last 10 years that it's so user friendly for the athlete. So it's not like you only have one person on your staff or in your program who's familiar with how to get the information and break it down. The kids actually know how to use some of it better than I do when you get right down to it. And there's so many different ways that you can use it. Like a few years ago when we went to Hudl Assist, and you could pull up the stat sheet and for example, you go to field goal attempts and you just click on field goal attempts and you can see all of your field goal attempts for the night. The kids caught on to that real quick. So they pull up their stat sheet at the end of the night. Instead of just looking at numbers, now they're looking at the actual game footage of what contributed to the numbers. And it's just invaluable how many different ways it can be used.
Andy, you brought up an excellent point here that I wanted to circle back on about all the great quality in the world doesn't account for human error. Where something like this frees up the hands, where do those hands go?
It's a position. We've got, I'll just talk from our department, even filming games, that's a student labor student labor hours, student labor jobs. That's 2-3 nights or 2-3 hours a night. And you do that twice a week. That's 6 hours, times, 16 weeks a year with student labor. I mean, you're getting up there now. It's a whole position that could be used for, homecoming or prepping for another game day event or running another errand. I mean, it's another body. It's another human being at practice. If you've got 3 student managers, one of them's got to film, and you're doing some shooting drill, now you're down to 2 rebounders, and that slows practice down. So, I mean, it's a human being up there that that's working for you. Now, the whole human error is still a deal. The thing about technology is it doesn't always do what you want it to do, but it always does what you tell it to. So if you don't have practice scheduled right or whatever, that's on you. But once you get it going, once you got it right, there's a huge efficiency there in personnel it's monetary. I mean, that's a budgetary impact for all of us. It's powerful.
Love to hear Rick and Dennis's perspective on this, because at the high school level, it's a much different resourcing game than it is at a great place like West Missouri State.
And I've seen this grow by leaps and bounds in our area, because we were fortunate to be one of the first in our area. I guess it was 3 years ago to have the Hudl Focus camera, and a couple schools in our league had it. Now everybody has it. So it's a situation now where, we used to have to take a video guy on the road in order to videotape. Now everybody in the league just exchanges, after the game. So there's no more videotape guy on the road. There's no more tripods, scrambling before the game to figure out who's going to do it, that type of thing. And, like we've alluded to, like the quality of it at that point was really dummied down. So, now, every night in our league, you're getting a high quality video, from somebody's Hudl Focus camera.
We're going to our next topic here, because you guys mentioned about live streaming and how important that is to the ecosystem here. You all live stream. Tell us about your experience with that, and especially during the pandemic, where that was so paramount to be able to get your access. Rick, we were talking a second ago about just people from all over the country tuning in to watch. I think you said you had 8,000 streams for one of your games. Let's start with that. And I'm interested to see Annie's perspective on this too. How does this help a college athletic department? But let's start with Rick and talk about that experience.
Yeah, in one of our higher games, it was 8,000, but we've reached 10,000. We've reached over that many. And when you're looking at those views, we do this at church. We always say you have to assume there's at least five people behind that screen, watching that game. Now, if you were at my house, there was about 30. All right, there was a party here every time. But it to be able to engage that many people, it's just a great opportunity to really spread your message, and for us to continue to spread that joy into people's homes, considering the dynamics we were in. Now, moving forward, there are, yes, marketing opportunities, there are things, but, we're going to use that platform. If we can reach 10,000 views, so you assume, okay, that's 15,000 people, okay? We're going to use that platform to spread messages, through our play, through whatever it may be, to uniting our community and to educating other people. Because how many platforms, especially in the high school realm, can you reach 15,000 people? That's where we were. So we're just lucky to have that following. But in the stories that we heard, when we got back with our fans, everyone appeared to have, an awesome get together at their home, even on Tuesdays, so when we had games, but to stay connected, that's everything, for us. So.
Watch parties, love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dennis, you thought?
Yeah, I think, to piggyback on Ricky's point, like the thing that I heard so oftentimes, over the last couple of years is we've got so many relatives that are out of state, and you hear heartwarming stories about, someone's grandma out in Iowa who, is watching her grandson play in Pennsylvania because of the live stream opportunity and otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity. And that's just one story. So I think like the live streaming, it's been a game changer for so many families to be able to follow, their athlete's career, from their extended family, their aunts and uncles, their grandparents, and who are outside our community.
And you have a unique angle to it because you guys have a great monetization with this live stream too. Love to hear about that too.
Yeah, so we've got, as a league, our MIAA conference, we are mandated to live stream all of our men's and women's basketball, women's volleyball, and football games. This year, actually, 2021, 2022, we're live streaming all of our sports. And we've got a minimum set of standards for each one of those broadcasts. And we're using Blue Frame as the company, but that's neither here nor there. And it's just this is what you have to do to live stream these. But what you've got is, especially on a college campus, we've got journalist degrees, mass communication degree kids, and they just want hours, so they're playing with stuff and all this and that and the other. But for us, we're reaching out to people. We're providing exposure to our sponsors, our corporate sponsors, and we'll give them a 10-second clip and a read. So when you go to a timeout, we've got a student running the stream, and he clicks a button, and you go to a commercial for 15 seconds for the local pharmacy, and then you come back from that, and you're going right back. So like Coach is talking about, with 10,000 views, there's 10,000 people that are just exposed to your brand. Now, maybe it is in Maryville, Missouri, and you're not going to be exposed to it, but we've got other groups that are proud partners that are a little more regional or outside of that, because, high schools, they've got a district where they've got, kids that come from, but they've got family members all over the place. At the college level, we're recruiting kids from all over the country. We've got kids on a basketball team from Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, our local area, but not Hudl Focus wise, but outside of that, football's got guys from Texas, Florida, you go out to Pennsylvania, out to California. Soccer's got international kids on the team. And Hudl, this live stream, this capability is something that now you're talking about parents, not just long distance relatives, grandma and grandpa live across the country, but parents live across the country. They can't make it on a Tuesday night. They'll make it to all the weekend games, no problem. They can't make it on a Tuesday night or a Thursday night non-conference game, or a Thursday night conference game. But with being able to live stream, it's a big deal. So for us, it's a budget line for me as the athletic director. I've got an expected amount of income coming from our live stream, and being able to use the Hudl Focus camera is going to save me some dollars with student labor. Now I'm going to shift that over and use it more in that production area, so that we're putting out a better product. But it's an add to our budget to live stream these games. It helps when Coach Mack wins 3 national titles in 4 years on the men's basketball side, but still, it's, those parents, those aunts and uncles and grandma, they're going to log in no matter what your record is, because they care about their loved one, and they want that exposure to be able to see him play.
That is awesome. Being able to just cut to a commercial like that, you stream and come right back. And we see so many unique applications on the high school front too, especially with signage and the different ways to get signage on the stream or on a hosting page. I'd be curious, Andy, and maybe Rick and Dennis want to take notes here as you guys are monetizing your streams. But for someone who's looking to start monetizing, like where do you start? What's the best process?
And the best thing for us was having that partner, the league, the MIAA, our conference. Like Coach is saying, the whole league's got these Hudl Focus cameras. If you can get somebody to come in, a Blue Frame, or I'm blanking on the company we used before them, but that's what they do, and they've got other software and hardware that can help. We bought a hardware piece of equipment a couple of years ago. It plugs in the back of your scoreboard console, and it just puts a little widget up on the bottom of your screen that has the score, time, and it's not, a lot of places you've got another camera that looks at the scoreboard. and people get rowdy and that thing starts shaking and you can't see anything. But this score bot just pulls that data right from your scoreboard, and it infuses that into your production. And so it's on the screen. It looks like ESPN, to be honest with you. And you can change the graphic and all that stuff to make it your own. But it's just another one of those things. Obviously, we're blessed to have a whole mass communications department of young people that want to learn, and they're not afraid to try things. And I'm not afraid to let them try. So we'll throw that stuff out there, and they've got awesome professors, awesome folks in their department that are willing to give them their expertise. But it's that partner thing. If you can get the whole conference to dive in, that's where you can get one of these, companies to come in and really kind of help and subsidize things and get deals on software, hardware, whatever it takes to ramp up that production. But you reach out. Anybody can reach out to my emails online. I'll be willing to share with you. I'll share our conference's contacts. We've got 4 or 5 folks that work in our conference office that are tremendous at picking the brains of professional groups and companies that want to partner with us and try to help that college experience for student athletes and their families. But some of these high schools are bigger. They're bigger than we are. We've got 5,000 kids on campus. There's a lot of high schools that are bigger than that. Your facilities are probably nicer than ours. You could do some really cool things if you get the right people that want to help you.
By the way, as a journalism major myself at UMass, we love having a blank canvas to experiment.
Yeah.
Gene Frankel style, any of you guys experiment? I don't know, Rick and Dennis, what you guys are using for your live stream, but I understand some of these free services, or do you guys use YouTube or anything of that sort? What software do you guys prefer? I know you just went on a spiel here about Blue Frame, but what are some of the best softwares people to use a live stream?
I wouldn't say, I don't know what the best software is, but I know we just went off of YouTube. That was what was offered to us. So, this is somewhere we haven't really explored much, so Andy, I look forward to having that conversation. I've got my notes. They've been popping the whole time. So, but we do have to capitalize on this opportunity, so, but I don't, other than YouTube, I'm not familiar with, this is new to me.
Yeah.
And that's what we've used as well. I mean, we've got our Allentown Central Catholic YouTube channel, which has been our platform for it. But the pandemic, has forced us to look at some different things that we wouldn't have considered before. So, some of the things that Andy is mentioning, resonate with some of the discussions we're having internally here in terms of how to grow our product and, really try to take advantage of, the possibility of bringing in some revenue through the use of the Hudl Focus camera.
Yeah, absolutely. It just seems like that's a low barrier to entry for people who want to start this live streaming, and it seems like people are really satisfied with that. So whether it's YouTube or something similar like that. So, yeah. I want to go back to something you guys are talking about as far as the film quality. What does that do for you guys from a coaching standpoint? Having that quality of film, what does that allow you to do as a coach? When you're reviewing, when you're evaluating, et cetera. Yeah.
When you're looking at, it gives you the entire floor, so you can see everyone. And as we know, the human error, you never know, you're missing something. So, I mean, it was very accurate. It gave us a nice vantage point. May not have been the most fan friendly view, because of the way it's high up, and, fans like to see everybody. And we got a couple complaints about our numbers, because we had a white on white number, but it gives you a clear view of the entire court. You're not missing anything, including the bench, many other things that are going on. So it really captured the moment for everyone watching. It just wasn't about who had the ball or the players on the floor. It captured everything, so that was good for us. So other than breaking down the film, you got to enjoy some funny moments on the bench or somewhere else, so.
I'd add to that from the standpoint of, the quality of the film is really enticing them. And we've been fortunate, I know Rick has as well, to have kids that have the ability to go on and play at the next level. So, as you are sharing film with college coaches, I mean, you're sharing a professional product, as opposed to, a parent holding an iPad and their hand shaking while they're doing it. I mean, we've all experienced that. I mean, no college coach wants to watch that. So, we've gotten a lot of great compliments and comments from college coaches who watch our video. And, to me, if they enjoy watching your video, it can only help get your guys recruited.
What about from your standpoint, Andy? What is the quality on this film allow your coaches to do?
I mean, same thing these guys are talking about. I think the easiest thing is when you're talking about college coaches and what they want to see game film. I have yet to see a kid miss a shot on a highlight film. You know what I mean? They're 100% every time. And so then when you try to go evaluate them in a game setting, the ability of their high school coaches to share full-on games with them, or you just to look up, Andy Peterson, small forward, Grundy County High School, and there's 6 or 7 of my games, and you can click on them, you just watch them, then you can evaluate it yourself. I mean, kid may have a highlight film where he hits 10 shots. Those are only 10 shots he hit the whole year. You don't know that unless you're talking to the head coach and all this other stuff. So it's a quick evaluation. You can watch it in 2 seconds and you know what kid you're looking for. It doesn't take 8 or 9 plays up and down the floor for you to discern who's who, what numbers who, where they're at. It's all in there. So, I just think once again, it's a luxury. It's a time saver. It's an efficiency thing that the coaches love. That comes from that high quality, that high def quality. At our level, we have video reviews. So if you've got a kid stepping on a line, or you got somebody, they don't know who the foul is on, and like Coach is saying, you can see the whole floor, and you can see the clocks above the scoreboard for us. That's the official game clock, not the center scoreboard, but the clocks above the hoops, and you can see those. So you can tell if a ball is released on time at the end of a half or something like that. That's a big deal. That we've been to a lot of places in the last 5 or 6 years since they started allowing video replay Division II, that they go to the monitor, and it's just a waste of time because the quality is so bad. So that's just another one of those. You go into a gym, that, hey, if we do have a tough call down at the end, the officials are going to be able to see it because of the camera that's hanging on the wall.
I do want to touch on this quickly. How much do you guys, for any of you, film practice with the Focus?
Often, since we have it here on our phones, we're able to, we'll pick the practice segments that we want filmed, or if there's a moment that I think we need to capture, we can quickly, just throw it on. But you got to be mindful because it can become overwhelming. We love our film. So, but I mean, there's always something being recorded, at some point, as a learning tool. So I'd say at a minimum 30 minutes of practice.
What are you filming? What do they get out of that by the practice film?
Well, we'll break it down just like a game film, very similar to a game film, but if you're off 4 or 5 days, you could take 2, 3, you could stretch a game film out 2 or 3 days, and an opponent game film, but to throw in some segments of your own, 5 clips here and there, that's critical. Keeps the learning curve, growing.
And so oftentimes, as we know as coaches, it only takes one clip to make a point. So you may be doing a defensive pressure drill, and really emphasizing ball pressure, and hey, you just pull out one clip where you're effectively ball pressuring the ball and make a positive example out of someone, and that's invaluable to the quality of your practice and the way you can accelerate the growth of your team from that standpoint. When I was on the college level before I started coaching in high school, and we videotape practice all the time. Now, we had a lot of manpower in order to do it. So my first couple years here at Allentown Central Catholic, I missed that we really didn't videotape practice. But then when the Hudl Focus camera came available, it became so easy to videotape practice. And I really think it's played a huge role, in the growth of our program, and we videotape every practice from start to finish. And, I could probably, fast forward through a practice, an hour and a half practice. I could probably fast forward through it in about 15 minutes, and pull out about 5 or 6 clips. And now we can start practice with that the next day and show those 5 or 6 clips and really set the tone for what the next practice is going to be. So again, there's so many uses to it. I think in a lot of ways, here at Central Catholic, we're just scratching the surface on its capabilities. But like I've said, it's been a great tool for us.
Andy, do you guys film a lot of practice?
Yeah, I think so. I'll be honest with you. I'm not down there as much as I probably should or could, but yeah, our both of our men's and women's programs film practice quite a bit because of what Coach Press said. You could have that one clip in practice. That's all you need. You can also create situations in practice that don't have the impact mentally on a student athlete. If a kid makes a turnover in a game, you don't need to bring that up. He knows what he did, right? And there's a negative feel to that. But if you can recreate that same play in a practice where there's no stakes on the line, there's not 3,000 people in the gym, et cetera, you can talk to that turnover. You can talk to that decision that was made in a really corrective and loving way to create better habits. I think our coaches use it more in prep rather than in retrospect. You film a game, you watch the game and pull stuff out of it and you move on. But they do a lot of stuff in practice with the scout team and them running whatever, and then they show them, hey, this is how we're going to guard, Central Missouri tomorrow night. This is their stuff. This is how we guarded it. You can see that we can do it, et cetera. So they do it quite a bit. I think like these guys are talking, you've got the access on your phone and you can press play and stop whenever you want. It's pretty handy. So, men's, women's basketball, volleyball, they all do it. Soccer started doing it now with your other, this is not Hudl Focus, but with your other Hudl Assist, soccer films practice, football films practice, obviously every single snap of every single day, and using that technology. So that's a big piece of the college level is film and practice.
I want to take these last few minutes and turn this back on you guys. A little fun here. Where do you want to see this going, Hudl? What do you see the future of film looking like? Anybody can go.
Yeah, I think it's about time, that basketball has gotten, football. I would have an argument with my brother who coaches at Daniel Boone High School, and he's a football coach. And I said, well, it's called Hudl. They're always going to try to benefit you, and I see it now evolving for basketball, and, can we get a sideline camera for basketball? Can we get multiple angles? Is there a way for us to make it more interactive? Now, ultimately, Hudl began as it's a tool for us, for coaching. But if live streaming is the direction we're going, is there ways for us to make it more interactive for fans, or maybe we can get more close up in those situations? It is, as Andy was talking about, instant replay opportunities or things like that. That's where I would see, because I think as far as coaches go, I feel like we're where we're supposed to be. Could there be improvements? Sure, I'm not aware of what they would be yet. You guys will come up with them soon. But I think now going from the coaches standpoint to now making it and coaches and team standpoint to more of a fan experience. If the live stream is, the direction we're going to be heading right now.
it seems to me like Hudl's done a great job of staying on the cutting edge. So every time as a coach, you get to the point where, okay, you think you've got your arms around it. Hudl's introduced something new that kind of rejuvenates your thinking and makes you look at it from a different angle. And there's been times where, to be quite honest, I thought, boy, it's a lot. Hudl's given us too much. But then the way you've made it so user friendly, we find a way to use it more and more. I'm anxious to see like what the in-game future is. Like, is there an in-game tool that you're going to use at timeouts, that you're going to use at halftime? We currently don't look at any video during a game, and I know at the higher levels, the pro levels, there's a lot of that going on with assistant coaches, during that 10 or 15 minute timeout. I think that might be the next step for Hudl.
Okay.
Andy,
Point, Dennis.
I'm gonna put my administrator hat on. I'm ready for the outdoor Hudl Focus.
Oh yeah.
For football, for soccer. I'm at a golf tournament right now. We need a TrackMan. We need a TrackMan type technology, Brendan, real quick. For about a third of the price would be great, or less. TrackMan's expensive, man.
I'll have your people talk to my people, okay?
Yeah. But I think these guys are right. You guys are on the cutting edge. You're have always pushed us to adapt. As we've, and coaches are, like Rick says, they're a little obsessive when it comes to watching film and doing that stuff. I've got no qualm saying it. Coach McCollum is probably one of the better college coaches in the country. He watches film. If he's in the office 8 hours a day, he's watching film for 6 of them. And that's not our film. He's watching, what's Carolina doing on their break, what's, Duke doing in their half court. He's watching Gonzaga he's watching some big timers do stuff. He's watching film. That's working on your craft, whether it's your team, somebody else's team, a Euro team, high school team, whatever. Film is the old saying, film does not lie. And Hudl's a big piece of that going forward. And, we talked to a couple of basketball coaches and a former basketball coach, and it's on the up and up. But, I think the sky is the ceiling, if that makes any sense at all. For Hudl with these outdoor sports, with the youth movement that's going on with AAU tournaments and all that stuff. It's a tremendous partner for us at the college level, and can't wait to see what's next.
Sky's the ceiling. I think Michael Jordan said that. So yeah, it makes sense to me, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of being a film buff, yeah, Rick, while we were doing this, I did look up your account. Yeah, you are a savant with the film. Man, wow. This is awesome. Gentlemen, I want to give you a floor once more. How can people reach out to you, stay in touch, keep the conversation going? Let's start with you, Andy.
I'm everywhere. I'm not bashful about it. You can go to our website, Northwest Bearcatsports.com, www.bearcatsports.com. My contact's on there. You can fire me an email. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Our league, the MIAA.com, it's got some great folks with your Blue Frame and whoever else that you want to get in touch with it. I'm out there. I'm on Twitter. However you want. I'm technologically savvy, I like to think anyway. You reach out to me, and if it pings anywhere on my phone, I'll get back with you.
Rick?
I can be reached on Twitter at Coach Rick Perez. You can DM me at any time. We also have various social media outlets. Reading High Squires Club on Facebook, is an easy way to get a hold of me. And as Coach said, I'm always readily available, especially to support anybody in the game and to learn from anybody in the game. So not hard to find. So Brendan, I just gave you a follow, and
here we go.
Andy, I'll look for you and give you one there also. And, stay in touch. Love to see what you guys continue to do.
And Dennis.
Yeah, this has been great for me personally, just picking up different information from each of you tonight. You can contact me. Our school website is acchs.info. Just go to the athletic drop down and all of my information is there. I'm also on Twitter at Coach Sensits. Hit me up. Love to talk hoops and, any information we can, help you with here at Allentown Central Catholic. We'd be glad to do it.
Well, gang, this has been an awesome discussion. I really appreciate you guys' time. I hope you had as much fun talking with this as I have listening to all this. I got a lot of notes too. I'm gonna take some of this back to the product team. No. But signing up for the rest of these guys, I want to thank you all for watching and hope you enjoy the rest of your time here at Swish 21. See you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.